Hello, everybody. So, I've never actually officially read my own chart. And so I figured if I was going to do it, that I would do it live. So I did post in my story, or I mean, not in my story, sorry, on my page, I did post my PDF of my chart. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to read my own chart. I've not done this before, so this should be interesting. But I already made my PDF, as I said, and now I'm just going to read it as if I was reading it for somebody else. So, I always like to start out with what my intentions are, and that is how I look at astrology in general. And that is the energy or the intention that you're putting into things. And your chart is going to show you speed bumps, or it's going to show you really great focusable things that you can work towards. The houses are where things happen and what part of your life, because it's a whole journey. And if you look at the signs, because there's no such thing as an empty house. There's thousands and thousands of points. So when you look at your chart, you a little bit, hey everybody. I hope that you, when you look at it, when you look at your chart, it has the 12 houses, and you all have a little bit of every single sign in you in some part of your life. So in that case, that's the attitude that you're going to bring to that part of your life. So all 12 houses have a sign ruler, and we'll talk more about that as I go through. In fact, I might be able to even pull up on the screen here. Actually, let me see if I can pull up my chart onto the screen so that way we can. Hey, is this me? It is me, right? You think I would know my own chart at this point, but so, and let me move me down here. So if everybody could see, we're going to start in the first house, and that is, this part down here, where I wish you could see me better, but the first house where it says ASC, that is your ascendant. That is where that's the constellation that was on the horizon at the time of your birth. That's your rising sign. So it's your chart ruler. And it also rules your first house. Now you can see in the center, there's all the numbers of the houses, right? 1 going counterclockwise all the way around to 12. You see that there are 12 signs. Mine happens to start with Sagittarius, right there at the first house, and goes all the way around to Scorpio, just like you do in the calendar through the seasons. So as you do that, you'll see that the signs are even. They're all 30 degrees as they go around. Houses vary though. So in this case, you can see that sometimes it'll line up fairly perfectly. You could even have 3 signs in one house, or you can have one sign that rules a couple of houses. So you can see these little gray dotted lines that are going from the house numbers out. That's the cusp line. So whichever sign is on that cusp line is the ruler for that house going counterclockwise. If you look at my chart, Sagittarius rules the first house, Capricorn rules the second, Aquarius third, so on and so on. So where I'm going to start is the first house. And the first house is the house of self. It's natively ruled by Aries. Yours happens to be, it's so weird, but yes, I'm going to talk about myself in the third person. This is my chart, so I'm going to read myself as if I don't know. So yours is also ruled by a fire sign. In fact, your chart is fairly native in its element the entire way around. Now, the first house of self is where you're discovering yourself. You were just born. So this is kind of your filter to the world. The people that don't know you as well will see you more as this sign. And Sagittarians are very intellectual. They crave a lot of information and experience. So that's how people will see you, very, very intelligent and hungry for information. And you actually have a stellium in your first house, which a stellium is 3 or more points in the same sign or house. And in this case, you have actually, it looks like about 6, I think, in there. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your ascendant doesn't really count for the stellium. And sun and moon only count for about a half a point, but you have both of them there. And three of these points, besides your rising, you have a Sagittarius Mercury, a Sagittarius Moon, and a Sagittarius Neptune. Now, these are points on your chart, and the points bring extra focus to this part of your life. So since this is the house of self, this is going to bring you more focus to yourself and the things that you're doing. Mercury is the planet of communication. So having Mercury in Sagittarius means you were very fiery with your communication. You might get yourself in trouble sometimes, come off a little bit as a know-it-all. I tend to think that Sagittarians do know a lot because they've had a lot of experiences, and they're very cold in their delivery sometimes. So it can definitely rub people the wrong way. So look out for that. And on top of that, you also have your emotions here because your moon is here. That's the planet of emotions. Ooh, Sagittarius moon. It's going to make you sympathetic and emotional because you own your own emotional experiences. You want to have that experience, own it so that you can help and be very sympathetic and empathetic to other people. So that's pretty cool. You should probably be doing something where you can give that kind of care. Like you're very good at experiencing self things. So maybe preaching or what a word, right? Teaching about your how to help yourself with things would be a good idea for you because you also have Neptune in Sagittarius here, and Neptune is the planet of dreams and the unseen. So you can see a lot of things about yourself that some people just can't see. Now, Neptune is a generational planet, meaning, and I don't know if I have it on here, but Neptune is one of the three generational planets. There's Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Now that means that everybody within a few years of your age, 8 to 15, sometimes 30 in case of Pluto, they'll have that point in that sign. But obviously that varies throughout the houses. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, my Chiron, I don't have it on here, but it is in the 5th house of Taurus. So yeah. And then I also have, it looks like you also have you have 2 other points here, and they are both in Capricorn in the 1st house. And that means that your ego is also involved in who you are and your passion. So, I mean, the sun, the Capricorn's going to give you this glowing presence about you, and you can be a bit intimidating to people, but when you add that passion and you're dominant, you have a very dominant energy when it comes to organizing things, getting things started. You're kind of like a little bit like the Energizer Bunny. A lot of energy. That's what you'll hear from people. You have a lot of energy. It is also the sex god placement. Just kidding. I just love that part. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the fact that you have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 empty houses, but they're not empty. Like I said, there's thousands of points. So we're going to talk about the attitude that you're bringing to each of these and go around the chart. So for your 2nd house, that's ruled by Capricorn. So it's still this little bit of a, not analytical, so ambitious. You're going to value ambition, if you will. You'll value financial things, anything that's production, success. That's what you're going to put into high value. Now, when you move to the 3rd house, this is your house of communication. It's ruled by the alien one, Aquarius. So Aquarius is an air sign. 3rd house is natively ruled by Gemini, which is also an air sign. So again, you're still in that mode, the same mode energy, very social, right? So you're going to be social with your communication. You should probably be, it's just so silly. You should probably be doing like videos or some like a podcast or something like that to get your information out. And what you're going to talk about is something that's not typically how people will talk about that subject. For an example, if it was, I don't know, something like astrology, you probably wouldn't do a typical astrology thing. You're going to want to do something that's a little bit different. A little air signish, if you will. Aquarius, right? So then you also have some Pisces in your third house, and it takes up the majority of that house, even though it's not the ruler. So you're going to have a little bit of this kind of dreaminess to some of your communication, and be able to communicate in a way that is the unseen. You might have a little bit of intuition when it comes to being able to read people's body language, things like that. Now, Pisces rules your fourth house. Now, that's the fourth house of home. So the fourth house of home ruled by Pisces, that gives you some dreaminess, right? You might have a little bit of a dreamy home life aspect. But you do have a very heavy earth chart in some ways. You have a strong midheaven in Virgo and a Saturn in Virgo, and you also have that Mars and Sun in Capricorn. So you probably are very grounded and may even come off kind of not that emotional, even though Pisces is a water sign, because it's very grounded in those other strong placements. Pisces is kind of known to be more aloof, if you will. So you're not going to be very serious about your home life. It's going to be, we're going to want it to flow. And yeah, sorry, pontification there. Now, Aries isn't a big part of that as well, which is going to bring that fire energy to your home. Quick decisions. Like you'll wait till the last second to decide something, or you'll decide something really quickly. But Aries is mostly ruling your fifth house. Now, fifth house is the house of creativity, pleasure, things like that. You are quick to the pleasure aspects of things. You're an initiator of pleasure. You're very creative in how you do that. So in something that you're being creative in, you want to be able to kind of just throw something out there and see if it catches. And then if it catches, you'll go on with that. You also, because of this, might find that you get a lot of feedback of, oh, that didn't work out so well, because you kind of jumped into it too quickly. So if you can learn how to hone in that skill of jumping to something too quickly, don't stop it, because it's part of who you are. But if you can use that and then start to kind of lasso it to pull you through your creativity, and then maybe whittle down a few things, or know when, okay, is this good? Let's just take another second. And then you have Taurus right next to it, as always. And it rules a big part of that. So you're still going to have that work ethic behind whatever your passion is. Extreme stamina, basically. You're going to have a lot of stamina in your pursuit of passion, pleasure, those sort of things. And Taurus actually rules your sixth house. And let me see if I can change the picture so we can get those houses that you can see better there. Where is it? Yeah, that works. Okay. Here we go, right? Not really, but because I'm right in the middle of it again. But this is this is a PDF there, so you guys can see. But in the sixth house, it is ruled by Taurus, Earth sign, natively ruled by Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, or the sixth house is that house of routine. And so Taurus, again, they're very secure. They want to be secure in what they're doing. They're very slow and steady wins the race. So that means that's your routine. Like, you like routines, and you're very like, hold on, I have to get this done. So you're very persistent in how you approach things, and you're tenacious even. It's also the sixth house of health. So because yours is ruled by Taurus, have a look out for things with, ironically, your neck, which I'm actually having problems with currently. Your neck, mouth, jaw, throat, medulla, brainstem, larynx, thyroid, and vagus nerve, or the parasympathetic nerve, which is this one that comes from your brain down. Just look out for any ill health aspects with that. You don't have any placements here, so there's no particular focus to look out for, just that it's there. So when we move to the seventh house is the house of relationships. It's ruled by Gemini, and I would like to just go ahead and point out now that whenever I see an air sign ruling your seventh house, I automatically am going to assume you are not cis in your relationships, because air signs are very back and forth, and Gemini, out of all of them, really back and forth. So it brings some of that energy to it, but also they're the sign about communication and mind over matter. So you're going to like your relationships to be very stimulating in your head. You want your mind to be stimulated by your relationships, but you might be very hot or cold, kind of on or off with your relationships, and you like to have meaningful connections because, but only if it's going to gain in your intelligence in some way. Now we're down here. Now we're down at this part down here now. So that's good. Your eighth house is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is the cardinal water sign, emotion. Eighth house is the house of power. Okay? It's also natively ruled by Scorpio. It's the house of the taboo things as well. Sex, tarot, astrology, things like that. Things of like the mystical realm, if you will. And it's the house of honesty, seeking of truth. And with Cancer there, I like you'll like emotional truth and honesty, because that's how you can regulate your emotions, is if you feel as though people are being honest with you. So that's how you get into your power, right? You have this extreme control over the emotional powers of the taboo. And you do have a placement here, but it's actually in Leo. And interestingly enough, it's Jupiter, the planet of expansion. Now, it's one of the two social planets. There's two social planets. One's Jupiter, the other one is Saturn. Easy way to remember the difference between like their energy. Jupiter's big, it's the biggest planet, expansion. Saturn has rings around it, which make it a little more restricted. So for Jupiter's that planet of expansion, and here in Leo, if it's placed in Leo, it's already going to give you this amazing ability to be creative and this expansive ability to be loyal and tenacious. You do like to get praise for things that are in the area of this point of your life, which is the taboo things. It also, to me, says it's your hidden talent. So you probably have a hidden talent of dealing with things that have to do within this realm. So I would often say people who have Jupiter in this, you should be sex workers, or doing something like tarot card reading, or be astrologers, or something that really can engage people in their power. In this case, the creativity, something that you can do that's creative on top of that, like creatively doing something in that area. That's gonna sing to, you're just gonna feel like you're growing as a person. So then if we move over to the ninth house, Leo rules your ninth house. That's natively ruled by Sagittarius. You have a lot of Sagittarius placements. So you already have a lot of energy about adventure and exploration, which is what this house represents. It also has higher education, things like that. So in this house, while it's ruled by Leo, you're gonna want creativity, very adventurous kind of activities when you go out on an adventure, or when you're learning about something. You're going to want instant gratification and praise in that. So as you're going through your life and you're learning more things, you want people to be like, you did a great job in that, because it's ruling Leo there. And when you go out on an adventure or you're experiencing something, you're going to want it to be something creative or different in how it's being experienced. Like it's a creative experience for you. You do have a placement here, but it's in Virgo. Virgo, earth sign, right? That is going to bring you some analytical aspects to how you travel or how you educate yourself, because it is in that house and because you have Saturn there. So that will kind of be your restriction, meaning Virgo is very analytical in how they do things. They want to plan things out. They want to make sure it's perfect. Leo is very creative and they want to be creative. So you might find that you will stunt yourself and you will stunt your creativity by trying to make something too perfect or trying to overextend it, overdo it even. So take into account that allow that Leo to come out a little more and be creative in your experiences. You probably also, if you go like on a trip somewhere, you have to know like everything. You have to know like what's close by, all of that stuff. You'd be very tenacious about that. Now I want to talk about the 10th house, which let me get to that one. I think I can pull that one up on here. We can just go back to this actually. So 10th house, your 10th house is ruled by Virgo. But what we like to talk about on the 10th house is on the cusp of your 10th house. You'll see it right there. You'll see that MC. MC stands for midheaven. That's middle sky. But it represents your ambition. It's natively ruled by Capricorn. So if that makes sense, they're the ambitious sign. And having it in Virgo, well, that just means that you are going to so let me come at this from a different angle, because your MC is more of like how your standing is in the public. It's not just your career. It's like how you want to strive in your life overall. So not just work, but how you want to achieve things, okay? So you also have an IC, which is not labeled on here, but in my case, it's Pisces because it's on the cusp of the 4th house. It goes straight in that line. You can follow that dotted line all the way down. You'll see it runs right into Pisces there. And so that's where my IC is. That's the root. That's where you feel comfortable in your ambition and where you're going to start from. So I have a base where it's emotional and it feels a little repressed. So in the way for me to get that emotional repression out, the Virgo is going to be like, okay, let me stabilize you. Let's be practical about this. Let's be logical about it. And we'll be able to reach our goals. So look for that. Like, look to try to be like, you need to make your lists. You need to check things off. That's okay. Do that. That's what it's asking for you to do. Now you have a placement here in the 10th house, and it is one of the generational planets. In fact, Pluto in general is like 15 to 30. Hold on, I saw a question there. Let me get back to you. Yes, I can, but let me finish doing the reading first, Amanda, and then I'll get over to that. In case I forget, ask me again, okay? So you do have a placement there. It's Pluto. It's one of the generational planets, okay? And this is even the longest one, like 15 to 30 years. And in your case, it's in Libra, meaning you're going to want balance in this part of your life. Again, ambition. So you're going to want balanced ambition. Pluto is the planet of transformation, okay? So you're going to want balanced transformation in your ambition. That's so cool because I feel like I'm doing that. That's what just happened. I just had one of those moments like, oh yeah, because I feel like that's what queerstrology is for me. Finally, that's what it feels like. It's like balancing passion and work, and that's really cool. You have Libra rules your 11th house, which is your social house, your networking house. So you really like balance. You want that. You want work hard, play hard in your social life in general. Where you are going to find that you want to give things in general is anything that makes sense. And what I mean by that is it's a very philanthropic area of your life, the 11th house. And so by Libra being there, you're pretty good at balancing what will actually help society and what's kind of more of a local helpful thing, like balancing that out. Now, Scorpio takes a big part of your 11th house, so you might be kind of mysterious and a little bit secretive, and people might talk about you because of this. And what I mean is Scorpios in that 11th house socially, because they come off as mysterious, people tend to not understand that and they might talk a little. So don't worry about that though, because your Scorpio rules the 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of insight. And it is intuition and the things that are unseen. So you can see all these people coming after you. Now, how you handle it, you do have 2 placements there. One is Uranus. Uranus is the networking planet. So now we have more networking, more socialization there, right? And in Scorpio, that again means you're going to be very secretive. You're pretty good at keeping secrets. Like, people will tell you their secrets because you're really good at keeping them. You have that ability because Scorpio is like, I can do this. Like, tell me the truth. Because they seek it. You're a truth seeker in your network and in your society and all of that. You also have Venus here. By the way, happy Venus in Scorpio currently. I'm sorry, everybody. I know it's in detriment, but meaning it's not supposed to be that great, right? It's not supposed to be that great because it's natively ruled by Pisces, but it's still a water sign, okay? And water and emotions brought into how you want to surrender, okay? So Venus is not just about love; it's also your bottom energy, and I don't mean that in the bedroom even necessarily. It means the kind of thing you feel like you can be vulnerable with or surrender to. So if your Venus is in Scorpio, honesty, transparency, being a little bit creepy, you're really gonna like that. That's gonna speak to you and the things that you love. Now, I do want to talk about your aspects, just a couple of them. And we'll get down here. Let me pull those asset pages up. Okay. So these are aspects. Okay. This is the relationship between your different points. And this is actually for everybody listening as well. If you are looking up your aspects, like it'll tell you, for example, in this case, I can't see what it is, but I'm assuming that it's Sun conjunct Mars there at the beginning. And if you type that into your like search engine, you might have a bunch of stuff popping up and you're just like, ah! So make sure you type in natal. So natal, natal after it, because if you write Sun conjunction Mars natal, it talks about if you have that placement in your chart. There's also transit, which is similar to what's going on now. Venus is in Scorpio, okay? That's its transit right now. But for me, it would be my natal placement. So you can look up any of this stuff and figure out more in-depth information about your aspects, okay? So when we talk about what a conjunction is, that's blended energy. It's hard to even tell them apart, okay? Your ego and your passion are blended together. You are energetically fearless. You have a super active home life. Must be that Mars placement though too somewhere. I'm just kidding. You can have a lot of emotional confusion because you have some depth to your feeling. And you can sometimes feel alone in there because your feelings are so deep that it feels unreachable by others. Your conjunction in Neptune gives you that creative mind. And then you also have it in conjunction with your rising. So that means you're a creative idea sharer. You should be creatively sharing your ideas with people. And with that conjunction to your rising of what is that? That must be Venus. What is it? I can't see, but it gives you magnetic mystery. It's got to be with Scorpio in some way. So that means that you have this magnetism about you because you're mysterious. Now, I wanted to say that conjunction means they're 10 degrees or less apart. That's where your orbs and stuff will come in. That's when they'll calculate it within a few degrees, okay? So then when we move to sextile, which is 60 degrees, they're cooperative. I like to say that they're kind of like holding hands and skipping down the street. That's kind of their energy, right? So if these points are doing that, that's like, what do I have here? I have Pluto sextile to my moon, which is going to give you some sort of emotional transformation. You have a Pluto and sextile to, what is that? My midheaven or I can't see that. But it gives you intelligent psychic. That's cool. You leave a romantic mark. You're inventive in your endurance. You have a unique lifestyle for sure. And you like to dream of change. Absolutely like that, you know? Now let me change to the next one here. There we go. Now, these red marks are square. This is considered to be a negative aspect. You know, I don't like that term when it comes to astrology. It's not about being negative. It's about having insight, right? So when they're squaring up to each other like that, they're not happy. Okay, they're upset. So sometimes that can create a good friction where you can have an action out of that, similar to an opposition, which I'll talk about in a moment. But you know, it just kind of shows you where you might have some struggles, where you might literally feel like you have to square up to something. And like this, in your case, you have some restricted feelings, you have emotionally affected goals, which means your emotions can sometimes get in the way of your goals. You perfecting inadequacy. That's what I was talking about, where I'm overly trying to perfect things. That can happen. Challenging dreams, sure. I hate authority and experience. Yeah, pushing boundaries. You're a boundary pusher. You probably heard that a lot. And you are idealistically misunderstood, meaning that you are somebody who doesn't follow the norm. You don't at all. But it doesn't mean that you're opposite of anything. You're kind of down the middle. So it can be very misunderstood by both sides of a subject, if that makes sense. And then if we move over to trine. Now, trines are usually in the same element. So earth, water, fire, air. Not always, but usually. Now, you have some enduring success in there. You're an open-minded realist. You work efficiently. And you're a generous entertainer. Thank you. But I definitely like to entertain, I suppose. But that's funny. That's awesome. Also, I don't have any oppositions because my chart is so squishy. But oppositions are actually one of my favorite aspects, because that is the one that creates the friction where they can do things with each other. Like, say, as an example, I had like my moon in opposition to my sun. It would be like my ego and my emotions are like, hey, what are you doing? I can do that better. Like, they compete a little bit, and it's good. All right, so let me see. Hello, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed that. So I did have a question. What's the difference between Jupiter and the midheaven? Well, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and it's a social planet, okay? So that is about like the area of your life that you can expand in. Your midheaven, that is about your ambition. So it's more oriented to how you will seek your goals in life. And how you pursue your like life goals, either work or other things like that. So I hope that helped answer the question. If anybody else has any questions, I'm certainly open for that for a few here. I hope everybody enjoyed that. That was interesting. I learned some things about myself. Also, you are a master number 11. And let me see if you have any interesting degrees or anything while I'm looking here. Yes, you're welcome, Amanda. Let me see here. I mean, not really. You don't have anything that stands out to me degree-wise. As we all know, the degrees are kind of like third oriented to all of this stuff. But yeah, so that's similar. Excuse me. That's similar to what it's like getting a reading by me. Now you have an idea. If it's a video, I do the PDF, and I send you that PDF a couple days before we do the reading, so that you can look at it and see if you have any questions that you want to ask during your reading. Or if it's a video, you can ask any questions that you want me to record in the video. And in the video, how that looks is basically the PDF or your chart. I'll just like zoom in on your chart. You don't see me at all. I'm just talking, and I'm literally highlighting exactly what I'm talking about. And it's similar when we talk on video chat, because I'll have you pull up the PDF while we're talking. I'll be like, you see this right here. I can describe to you exactly where I'm looking, because I like to teach people how to read their charts, and therefore other people's charts. I still get readings all the time, and I know how to read charts. I think it's fascinating. This is the first time I read my chart. How weird is that, right? But yeah, I mean, I like doing it, and I feel like reading it like that helps me understand my life as a whole, or the person's life as a whole. I've had so many readings where they're like, yeah, your Saturn is in Leo, and that means you like to be creative in your work or something. And I'm like, okay. I don't know what that means. Or they're like, and in this year in the transits, there's a lot of 28 degrees, and your Taurus is in 28 degrees of like, and I don't know what they're saying, right? Even now, I've listened to, I had a recording of one that I did, and I'll listen to it, and I'm like, what are they talking about? But I do think that nowadays, people are much better in their readings, where they're much more typical to what, sorry, that was loud, huh? It's much more typical to understanding what you're actually trying to say here. And I hope my videos are helpful for people to understand more about their chart and about the different things in their chart. I am getting ready to do one on how the signs appearance, because I was seeing on TikTok that somebody did this thing where there was like an ear with your like wherever on your ear is like a birthmark. It has your sign. Mine's not. Like, I think I have one, but it's like up here, and Capricorn was down here or something. And I was like, well, I've seen this more. If you know the medium Alison Dubois, the show medium, excuse me, my goodness, the show medium was based off of her. And her and one of her astro buddies did a YouTube video about the appearances of the signs, and I thought it was so interesting, and I just hadn't explored it further, but I think I'm going to get into that because I find that fascinating. That would be so cool if I could pick out people's signs by how they look. I'm so excited about that. And since I have very good body language reading skills, I should be pretty good at that one, right? But anyway, so yeah, if you're interested in getting a reading from me, sorry, I haven't said that yet. The readings, like what I just did, basically, and the PDF, it's $60. And then if you want to do the video, that's $100 because it takes me longer, obviously, to get that done for you. But there's positives and negatives for each. The live is more intuitive. I get to like feel our energy and feel what I'm reading and how it resonates. But the video, you get to kind of reference for however long you want. I give you a private link that you can share with as many people as you want to share. And you can reference it as many times as you want. So yeah, I also do compatibility readings, which I'm getting into more and more of the insights of that after doing the twin flame and that soulmate stuff. Wow, fascinating. And the more and more I get into these synastry charts, they're interesting. I'm also starting to get more into the composite charts, and I'm not offering readings on composite charts yet because I don't feel experienced enough to do a reading for you. But composite charts are so interesting. Let me explain the difference really quick, okay? So synastry is compatibility between two people. So like it's kind of like how aspects work in your in personal charts, where it's like this point and this point, they match up in a certain way, and they're in trine, or they're in square or whatever, right? So that's a synastry chart, like how your two charts compared to each other line up. A composite chart is where you take your point and another person's points, and where they meet, they become a single point. So that those two people become a single chart rather than a comparison of the two charts. It's like, hey, what is these two people combined make up this kind of chart. And I haven't done, like, I want to do some readings on that, like for fun. Just like if somebody wants to volunteer them and another person to do a composite, if you want to know what that's like, let me know, because I'm interested in diving in more and seeing what resonates with people. So, but yeah, I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. And until next time, everybody, cheers.